Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. I'm Bobby.
I'm Nick.
I wasn't informed that going live doesn't mean going live on Twitch as opposed to starting the show. So I might have shat on the intro a little bit there. How's everybody going?
I'm staying alive. How you guys been?
I'm doing all right.
He's not doing all right, everybody. Right before the show, he complained about having to deal with crazy people for 20 minutes.
Well, doing work for crazy people. Like, I don't mind crazy people, but when like when I have to work with them,
Badgering you.
Yeah. Not at my usual job. This is my side hustle here, doing video work. But yeah, fortunately, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, fortunately, at my real job, like I don't really deal with anybody that's like totally off the wall or crazy or like really difficult to get along with. And when you when you work in education, like everybody's educated,
level-headed,
yeah,
right? I would imagine it's a level-headed crew.
Yeah,
you kind of have to be, for the most part, to be able to get to that point, right? To deal with the public, to deal with kids, and stuff like that. Like, you can't be unhinged.
There's nobody who has a short fuse that works with kids, I feel like, except for maybe PE teachers.
Usually they're history teachers, or like the football coach. So
yeah, I can tell you,
Bobby,
science
are they a
teachers are
different
the
crew?
crazy ones. What, PE teachers?
Yeah, they don't. I feel like they don't hang out with the rest of you guys.
In my experience, yeah, they are kind of cliquey. The PE teachers hang out with each other. Their job is very different than that of a classroom teacher. But
we're dealing with the physical. Hoorah! Yeah.
Yep. Oh boy. All right. Well, let's get this show started. We do not have Christian here today. We do not have Amanda. Christian's birthday has continued for 2 weeks, apparently.
Apparently, it's a Canadian holiday now at this point.
Yeah.
They need more holidays up there. They don't have a real Thanksgiving. They only have American Thanksgiving. She was down up until like 20 minutes ago, but she's trying to find a new apartment, and it's going long. So,
yeah. She's working out some stuff.
It's funny. I get really self-conscious about my safety glasses that I wear because it's my only like glasses that I wear. Somebody said they look like skydiving glasses. And yeah, they're ugly. But I look at Baptista, the guy who plays Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. This is all he wears every day. Like, this is his move. I'm sure there's like a $7,000 version of this, but yeah. I just saw him hanging out at like another. He was at the Canelo fight last night. I was like, that's his move. He just wears safety glasses everywhere. Maybe because he knows that he's going to get in a Drax fight any second. I don't know.
Just got to protect those eyes.
Yeah, man.
I thought skydiving, you wore goggles, but I don't know. I've never been skydiving.
I mean, these are goggle adjacent, dude. Look at these things.
You kind of wear like these cheap plastic goggles that protect your eyes just in case you hear like a bug at terminal velocity.
But, Bobby, would you go if it was free? Would you go skydiving like tomorrow? I mean, if you worked it in your schedule.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It might be exciting, but at the same time, that's people like have shoots that don't open. Like, that does happen, right?
No, it totally does. Yeah. Well, they get tangled up or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But
well, I know they've got a backup shoot. There was a skydiver, someone who actually dives with people and does it professionally, was talking a little bit about it on some podcast I was listening to, and they have a backup shoot. And she was talking about how the primary shoot, like, it's not uncommon for that to fail, but that's why you have the backup shoot. And after hearing that, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I need to needlessly jump out of a plane.
So I did it once. It was like we did it as like a farewell because my buddy was leaving or whatever. It was like $140 like 10 years ago. And I jumped, and it's literally exhilarating for 20 seconds. It's 20 seconds of exhilaration. Then they pull the thing, and then it's like a nice view and like a nut tug. Because obviously the things are like right on your nuts, so like your whole weight is just right on your nuts, and then you float for 15 minutes as you come down. But it's only 20
minutes.
seconds of like jumping out of a plane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not even a whole minute. Maybe when you get to be like professional, you get to go higher and jump for a minute, but yeah, 20 seconds. And the other thing is, yeah, I had to do a tandem dive, which means I had a dude strapped to my back. But that dude was not 6 feet tall. That dude was like 5'8", and so I was carrying him around like a backpack on a backpack. So yeah, he had to direct me where to go. I was like, I was like one of those bosses where like there's a smart guy and the big dumb oaf that like like carries him around. I was like that. It was weird. It was weird to be directed by the person who was riding me.
Wow.
I've been skydiving too, and they were like, "How much do you weigh?" And I was like, 250. They're like, "The limit's 250. You get the small guy." And I'm like, "Thanks." And I was so tall that he couldn't touch the floor. And they were like, "Okay, you're gonna have to walk around this guy on your back, essentially."
Yeah, dude, it's a weird feeling to have a man pack.
Yeah, he was tiny.
I, dude, I didn't realize it till right now, but that's what it was. They gave me the smallest guy because I was the heaviest guy, right?
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, they were like, "How much do you weigh?" I'm like, literally 250 pounds. They're like, "The limit is literally 250 pounds."
You gotta strap a jockey to your back.
Yeah, that's what it
He
was.
smelled like weed and BO, so I'm still here, so I'm pretty thankful.
Let's talk
All
about
right.
video games.
Hell
Let's
yeah,
get
dude.
into it. All right, so on the radar, games that have come to our attention this week, I'm going to start it off with Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, which we have talked about in the past. Somebody posted this in Discord, and I can't remember who it was, but at first I was like, well, they must have known we've already talked about this. Like, I brought this up so many times, but I think what they were, the reason they posted it is because on September 28th, they released the demo for this game, the playable demo that was available months ago in the early beta that I missed out on. So you can play it. I've downloaded it. Definitely going to check that out this week. Apparently there's only one playable character, which is the scout. But there's a pretty good amount of content. So I'm excited to check that out. And the release date is 2023, and there's not many months left in 2023. So I would assume this is coming out really quickly.
I mean, dude, like Steam just did like kind of the same thing that you're talking about, like with their release of Counter-Strike Go. Like no commercials, no advertisements, nothing. They're like, it's gonna release in September. People are like, nothing's really flying across the radar here. No big anything anywhere. And they're like, it's out today. Go have fun. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Deep Rock Galactic kind of does the same thing. It's like people. I got a little glimpse of this when I've been watching a couple of podcasts like regarding like advertising. Advertising is getting super expensive because just the minimal cost of entry. And like, why pay $6 million minimum to advertise your games all over the internet and shit when you can just be like, people already know what we are, our fans know what we do. We're not going to get much more from the community of what we already have. So, and we're making this shit for them. They already know what's coming. So, fuck it. Why pay the money that we're just to get like a 5% increase?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to that. If you think about, I'm not a Trump guy or anything, but think about Trump's campaign the first time. He's like, he didn't pay for any advertising because he was such a polarizing figure. The media just put him in as president. And then the second time, he's like, I'm not even gonna argue with these other people. I'm just gonna let them do everything for me. You know what I mean? It's like if there's you get extra points sometimes for not participating, and that these secret drops or whatever it was that he called it, Christian called it something. There's a certain way of just doing this, like this drop out of nowhere, that just a drop out of nowhere gets you enough media hits that it's almost the same as doing a full campaign. Yeah, 5%, like you said, Nick, or maybe more.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I have nothing further to say on that topic in the sense of like anything good or anything, but it really, it's, you know what they say? Any media coverage is usually good media coverage, as
Yeah.
bad as it sounds.
So this is like a vampire survival uh, game, right,
Yeah, yeah,
Bobby?
it's a vampire survival game, but I think they're trying to incorporate some resource gathering and a little bit more than just running around and shooting people and getting upgrades.
Well, there's walls,
Hmm.
which usually there's not. It's funny to say that, like, ooh, walls is a new thing in the genre, but yeah, generally you're in a big open field with no obstructions, but there's walls and you're walking around in caves.
Yeah,
But other than that, yeah, it looks like a typical vampire survival game. I don't know.
yeah.
It looks fun.
Well, I think they'll do well just off the name alone.
Yeah.
From what I heard, people had positive things to say about it coming out of the playtest. So, I mean, even if it's a halfway decent game, I think just off the Deep Rock Galactic name alone, they'll do well.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
Yeah.
Amanda is not here. So, you know, we say the radar and we're talking about games that we haven't played, but this is also where we put in news and like some peripherals as well. I got a new chair finally. I had a Herman Miller, what is it called? Aero? Aero. It's like what maybe the most famous office chair ever. Um, they're like, I don't know, $1,000 or something like that, and I got it for free because I used to do junk removal, and I threw a bunch of junk away from a thing, and I had like 12 of these bitches, and I sold them all, and I kept one of them, and it was broken. They most all were broken, but yeah, it's a good chair, even though it was broken. It's probably still as good as like a good cheap chair, I guess. But after a while, it's like barely holding on now. So I've been looking for a chair for a long time, but I will say, and this goes for a lot of things. If you don't need it, you can take your time. Don't get obsessed about buying the thing. If you just wait it out, like I didn't need a new chair. Took my time. I mean, I've been looking for a chair for like 7 months, just slowly. And so, because it's weird, because you can't sit in it a lot of times unless you go to like Office Max or something like that. You're not going to find a chair that you can try out, especially online, obviously. So, whatever. I little by little, I was looking and blah blah blah, and so I finally found this thread that like a lot of people were building up this chair from Amazon. It's called a Duramont ergonomic chair, and it's a $300 chair. Another thing, gaming chairs is like, okay, gaming chairs have been around for 10 years. Office chairs have been around since The Office aired on TV. I don't know when. Like, office chairs have been around for a long time, and so it's one of these things where what are you gonna what are you doing different in an office chair than you are doing in a gaming chair? But yeah, so it's $300, but and if somebody knows how these Amazon coupons work, let me know. But a lot of times on Amazon, it'll just underneath the price, it'll be like, click here and you get $10 off. So on this one, it was click here and you get $50 off. So I got it for $250. Um, the materials are very nice. There's an adjustable lumbar support on the back. You can push it out or in as much as you want. And if I had one complaint, it would be the wheels. They're too good. Instead of having like casters that like plastic casters that most chairs have, those like two wheels in one caster, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows. These have like rollerblade wheels on them, like these big giant plastic rollerblade wheels, and it is super smooth.
For
I just
those
push
watching the
myself away and like I can't control it. And if you didn't know yet, this is our old podcast studio, which is a 3-car garage that got turned into a room, into 2-car garage, into a studio, and that is now is my office. So it has a small slant to it. It goes down, and so I'm just constantly as I play it, I'm like like just going to the right. You know, I'd have to fight my way back. I'm gonna have to figure something out. But
So there's
like
no wheel
smooth,
locks on it.
no wheel locks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And no.
So I'm gonna put
Well, you're on concrete too, though, right? You're not
yeah,
on
I'm on
carpet.
concrete, and you know, and there's a grade to it. So that's the worst combination for super nice wheels. Um, but other than that, like headrest, it's not gonna blow your socks off visually, but it's a great thing. So yeah, I waited a long time, found something that I really liked, and it really paid off. You know, usually in general, Amazon products, you never really know, but if you find, you know, it happens a lot in construction and stuff. Like there are things sometimes Chinese products are really good because something's super duper overpriced, and the Chinese version of it will come close or whatever in quality, but the price would be 25% of what the competition would be. I remember like ratchet straps in my truck. I paid $45, and then the next year they were $12, and they were just as good. So sometimes Chinese products are good. So yeah, there you go.
Well, when I bought my chair, and I need to buy a new one actually. This one is just I don't know. It's pretty worn out. But when I bought it, it came with casters that didn't have wheel locks, and I'm on a hardwood floor, so I was sliding around a little bit too. But I think they're pretty much universal. I think you can buy a caster with a wheel lock and just pop off one of those legs or one of those wheels and replace it. I don't know about the height. Like, the ones that I had were pretty standard. They're what you're describing, the casters that have the two wheels inside of one. And these ones, yeah, they do look very different.
Yeah, I have fucking rollerblade wheels, dude. I'm all over the goddamn place.
So
Luna pushed me and I was like, whoa.
the
anti-gravity wheels.
The pro move that I hear from like there's this guy that I used to work with, and he's like pretty heavy set, but he also like loves chairs. That's like his niche. Like people love keyboards, people love mouses, people love all this other shit, but his shit's chairs. He says that like buying these wheels. Do you remember like Razor scooters? You know those like clear like wheels.
Yeah, that's what I have, dude.
Yeah, but they have those, but with wheel locks, like Bobby's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You can buy those specifically. They're a little expensive, but you'll never have to buy new wheels again.
Yeah.
And if you can get those, they, like I said, will pretty much make your chair last a lot longer than normal.
I see. And you only have to get one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you really only need one.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, anyway, Duramont ergonomic Amazon chair. What do you got, Nick?
So I'm talking about. This week I'm talking about something more that is of an update. I mean, the game is coming out again, really, for Xbox. It's Warhammer Darktide. It was our game of the year last year. It's getting mixed reviews because kind of the game, like now, is getting mixed reviews because it hasn't been updated in a while because the devs have been really silent. But now they're kind of coming out with new shit because they're coming out with the game for Xbox. A lot of new stuff for the classes, but no new subclasses specifically. So there's class overhauls involving new talent trees that allow like for 3 paths for each class. But you can diverge from each path. Like there's like a defensive class, an offensive class, and a utility class, like not class, but like tree branch for each class. Each class gets 1 to 2 new abilities or ultimate abilities. Like the Ogren, who's like this big lumbering idiot, gets like a mega grenade. Normally his grenade is like a literal box of grenades that doesn't explode because he's too dumb to pull the grenade. And it's like its mechanic is to kill heavily armored enemies in like one hit. The Zealot gets an aura that reduces damage. They haven't said any numbers about it, but people are saying that it reduces damage to like up to 80% and then buffs people's damage. The Psyker gets like a Yondu arrow from Guardians of the Galaxy, and like pops everybody's heads back and forth.
That's
They also
awesome.
they get like a new ability, people don't know if it's an ult or just like a standard ability, but it's like a giant bubble that blocks all incoming damage. But people are also saying that there's like an alternate version of it that can block people from entering it.
Hmm.
And then the soldier has a melee shockwave. People's biggest complaint about the soldier is that once you get overwhelmed, there's no way of like defending yourself. So it has like a new melee ability. Apparently, everything that they showed in the trailer is not everything that's coming out. Um, yeah, people are still mad that there's no new subclasses.
But
Uh,
it's kind of like new subclasses without naming them, right? In a
kind
way,
of,
right? I mean,
yeah.
that's what I'm getting from this.
So, like with Vermintide, the actual subclasses really did mean like a very large difference in playstyle, right? The dwarf, the subclass for like, for example, like the engineer subclass for the dwarf, you got a minigun
Yeah.
compared to like
But you have to
uh
pay for each subclass in that game, right?
not no not the original 2 or 3 for each class. You got the original 2 or 3 for the original classes. And so Darktide is a different game. Obviously there's range stuff. um it's a lot more gun based. People are thinking that they're going to come out with the 5th class and that's going to be a free thing before they start working on subclasses, and that's going to be the paid stuff, but we'll see. I hope the game doesn't die. I hope that like Fat Shark doesn't just abandon the game and work on their next project. They're still coming out with shit for Vermintide too, so that only makes me think that they're going to keep pumping out stuff for Darktide. But yeah, it's coming out for Xbox on October 4th, so check it out. And then all that new stuff drops on October 4th for PC as well.
It's funny. We gave it like Game of the Year, and we have not played it together enough. I mean, me and you have played it a lot, Nick, but this is kind of Bobby's shit right here, and
I mean,
he doesn't like us or something.
it's a great game, but like to its fault is like once you do get to max level with one of the classes, and like there is only I think 13 missions, and even though each mission can go different directions, it's sort of repetitive with like only 3 different boss types or special like and things like that. Like so,
As
I
you were
don't know.
speaking, dude, I was thinking about this game type in general. This like what do you call it? A to B multiplayer co-op, I guess. I was
Um,
thinking about it, and I was thinking how like there's no end game, there's no boss, generally.
well, the
Um,
end game is like the people that take it super ultra serious, that play on the hardest difficulty on
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. You can
where
always
you
up the
have to go
difficulty,
slow, where you have to go like you have to save your bullets, you essentially have to do headshots or you have to hit weak points.
but I feel
Like
like there should be a level that is only accessible by completing everything else on the previous difficult. Just one, you know.
well that's
Well,
that well Darktide's doing that. That's the weird thing, is that like the story of Darktide's not done. Like the actual story of the game. Like as they've been doing content drops, more of the story of the game has been going. Like there's no credit scene for the game yet. Like in Vermintide, there was a hard ending for the game, and then the DLC added shit. But
Bobby,
like Darktide
you've
doesn't have an
played
end.
more than of these games than any. They're like w- this. What I'm talking about, like, say
Well,
anything to you.
no, they have. Yeah, I don't know if they're really the type of game to have an ending like that because they really focus on a core gameplay loop. And as long as that's fun, it's okay. I talked about this a while ago, but the way that these games are all constructed is they've got that core gameplay loop, and then that generates like some sort of currency or talent points or whatever that you spend outside of the game on this. I'm sure there's technical terms for all this, but I don't know what they are. But you spend that outside of the game on kind of this meta game, and so you build your character up, and then it allows you to do more difficult missions. So it's kind of like a cyclical thing that isn't really designed to have like a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, if you do put an end on it, then maybe people will stop playing, even though it's something you work towards.
So, for like one example that I have, at least for a game like this, or like what we're kind of referencing in this situation, is in Destiny 1. So there was an end game raid, right? And there was
Okay.
like when you did the hard version of the raid, you got the true ending of the game, but there was still stuff to do after that. Like there was still like essentially the Diablo um like keystones and stuff like that, you know? So why not introduce a keystone mechanic into, as much as I hate keystone mechanics,
Keystone or
into a game like
capstone?
this?
What
Huh?
was Keystone or capstone?
I can't remember, but you know what I'm talking about, where you level up a token into like harder levels, and the game mathematically makes the game harder. You can do that in Darktide. It's not hard.
I do feel like if you put a secret level, not a secret level, but like a level that you only put in by doing a certain amount of stuff, more people would work towards it and play longer than they would quit after they played it. I feel like. But
Oh
anyway,
yeah,
I mean, we're not going to fix a genre in here before we
no.
talked about seeing investigators. Bobby, you know what's funny about this? I was halfway through putting my synopsis on this when I realized that you had already put it on there.
Oh, Scene Investigators.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was posted in Discord by Warconius, and it's got some interesting ideas. So it's a true crime deductive reasoning game, kind of a puzzle game. But the way that they described it on their page reminded me a little bit of, say, Phasmophobia. So what you do in this game is investigate a crime scene. There's really no action. You're just showing up at a crime scene, looking around, getting clues, investigating. And then from all that, you try to solve the case. And they said you only get about 70% of the evidence, and it's random what evidence you're going to get.
Oh, that's cool.
So you do have to put things together and figure things out. It's not like it forces you to take risks and jump to some conclusions. It's not entirely going to be all laid out in front of you. It is a single player game, but they talk about playing it with others as if it's like a communal experience, which I thought was interesting. I mean, yeah, I could see like two people playing this game, like old school co-op where you sit next to each other and play it. But I don't know. It seems difficult to translate true crime or something like this into a video game. This is from a company called EQ Studios, and they made a game called The Paynes Creek Killings back in 2017. And this game actually did pretty well. The reviews were pretty good. Quite a lot of people bought it, apparently. And it was more of a walking sim, more focused on the story, and it had some puzzles in it as well. But it was pretty well received. And this new game they're doing kind of is similar. It's in the same vein, but it's different in a lot of ways. So it seems like a good idea, but I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of pigeonhole this one because it doesn't sound like a lot of other games that I've played. That's kind of what sounds interesting to me, but at the same time, it just seems like something that's difficult to do. I played a lot of those Sherlock Holmes games, and those were kind of, I don't know, they were puzzle games, but there was a lot of figuring things out and putting things together. And it's just, I think it's really hard to do in a video game, like a detective game or like a true crime game. I don't know. I'm skeptical, but hey, could be good. It's coming out in 2023. Scene Investigators.
As soon as you said true crime, I instantly sent it to Leslie. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
That's
That's the thing.
exactly
People love true crime. Like I'm not a big fan,
women love true crime, dude.
but really, you think it's a
I'm gonna
gender
go ahead
thing?
and could be sexist here.
So Leslie explained it to me, right? And why usually it's women, and I say usually it's women that love true crime, because statistically, men murder people like that.
It's so true.
The men are murderers like that.
We're murder adjacent, dude.
It's what it is, right? And so women, as a preemptive step, want to learn about the thing that might murder them, right? And might want to know about the way they might die the easiest. And so true crime also has an aspect of like, usually it's a topic being talked about by other women. Like the number one true crime podcast is hosted by two women. And so it's a very common topic amongst women. You're like, oh, it's like a thing on Instagram where it's like, my true crime wife podcast. Like my wife's true crime podcast. Whenever the car's Bluetooth connects to her, it's like, and when they found the body, they detected that it was raped, beaten, burned alive, and then murdered. And it's like, and like our kid, is
Double
traumatized.
murdered.
Yeah, it's just the reality of the situation is that women are 9 times out of 10 going to be interested in true crime because of the reality of the situation of men murdered.
I disagree with her synopsis of why. I'm going to go ahead and throw in my super sexist version of why. I don't think it's super sexist. Hunter-gatherer time, right? There's a lot of hunting going on. There's a lot of gathering going on. While the gathering's going on, usually done by females, they're doing a lot of gossiping. The gossiping is about like what's killing people. A lot of the times, like, don't eat the red berries; those are gonna kill you. Don't sleep with Og; he fucking kills you. Like, so they're like, gossip is really important. It's a good important part about human sociology. So it's passing of information. What's going to kill us? So I think true crime video is a lot of like, what's going to kill us? I guess we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about two different sides of one coin, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
but like now,
we gotta all talk about what's going to kill us the most.
yeah, but now it's no longer like what's going to kill us. It's not going to be like, CT fever, because it's like, or like the berries. It's 9 times out of 10, it's men, or like driving,
That's the most common. Yeah.
So,
I do gotta do a shout out to Small Town Murder. That's a very good true crime podcast. I had a really good time with it, and Sam had a good time with it. They're like 4-hour podcasts, but it's so good for a road trip.
Wow,
so good.
That's way too much.
Not for a road trip, dude. Not for like
for a road trip. That's pretty good.
I don't know. I just don't care for true crime. I prefer fake crime.
You haven't tried.
See, the thing is, like, I'm a criminal justice major, and Leslie's like, why don't you like true crime? You're a criminal justice major. I'm like, yeah, because I've seen the real photos of people being brutally murdered and things like that. I've seen the evidence. Like, I don't want to hear about it. And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I know what happens. I've seen people get their heads blown off. Like,
anyway, I think that's why it's interesting to them.
When my project, I know we're going on way too long on this tangent, but
bird walk, Bobby.
Bit of a bird walk here, going on a bird walk. So my project, it never really. In one of these film classes I took, we had to script like an idea we had for something like really short, and we worked with other people, and not everyone got filmed. Mine did not get filmed. I didn't think it would be, but it was a good exercise for this idea that I always had. Here's my $1 million script idea. A horror movie about a guy and a girl live together. The girl is obsessed with true crime. The guy is obsessed with horror movies. And there's something else going on with the cat. Long story, not going to get into it, but weird stuff happens, supernatural, murder at the end. But like in the background of all this is this idea at play. Like, what's worse? Is it the guy who's watching like Terrifier 2 or all these like super gory, horrific movies, and they've got all these scenes, but they're all fake? Or is it the girl who's watching all these true crime that I am docs that are actually real, but not necessarily as graphic? So I don't know. I've always thought that was interesting because the guys do tend to prefer. Yeah. Because it is, I think it is like gender based too. I noticed like a lot of girls do like true crime, but then, and this is kind of like loosely based on the relationship I have with my girlfriend. Like, she's always watching true crime, and it bugs the hell out of me. that and wrestling. We don't quite line up on that. But then like when I watch these horror movies, like she hates those. Like she can't stand them. But I'm just
Oh,
like,
Leslie won't watch horror movies. That's the thing, though. Like,
yeah.
what's weird is that she won't watch horror movies because she gets scared by them. Like, if you watch The Strangers, which is like based off of like the real, like a real story about like people pretending to be Mormons and killing people,
Mhm.
she's like, that's about real shit. I'm like, yeah, but you listen to true crime. You listen about real stories of being about people being murdered. Like, why wouldn't you watch a movie about it? And she's like, I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's strange, and I wonder why that is. But all
I
right.
told you what it is. I'm right 100% of the time. Cocoon, guys. So Cocoon is getting very good reviews. This is an indie flick, an indie game. It's very positive at 96% with 325 reviews. Take it for what it will, because Bobby's definitely going to bring up that it's only 325 reviews. But it comes from the gameplay designer. It says designer, but more than just one person came over to this team, because they came over from Limbo and Inside. Those are two incredible 2D games that came out. You must have played one of them by now. If not, please go pick them up for $1 or $2 and play those. They're 2D side scrollers, but they're atmospheric and very good. So anyway, when it's funny because when I read before I saw how well it's doing within 325 people, um, I saw lead gameplay designer, and I thought about the gameplay in Inside and Limbo, and I thought to myself, there wasn't a whole lot of gameplay. You know what I mean? There was a little bit of jumping and there was a little bit of object moving. You could do two things. You could grab, pull, push, and jump. That's it. So
Hmm.
how how am I supposed to be impressed with that? But then, I'm watching this game, which very similar, except for it's 2.5D or isometric, I think. Um, it's a different prerogative, but essentially the same. You can jump, pick up, and that's it. Interact and jump. That's it. And so I was thinking, all right, like that was the worst part of the game, those two games. Why would I be interested? But if you think about it, maybe they were constrained heavily. How much gameplay can you put into a 2D game that doesn't have a lot of action? It's mostly moving. Like if they took what little they were handed and made it fun, maybe that is impressive. So that said, this game you look like the first thing I thought of. It's like a fairy that's running around, not flying. Just and it reminded me of this like kid's toy that you twist and the fairy, her wings go up and start. She flies. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that
There's a
character.
video of like a guy doing that, and his daughter's like, his daughter's goes in the fireplace, and everybody freaks
Oh
out.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
um,
Man.
anyway, that without the fucked upness. Yeah, you look like a fairy that's not flying around for some reason. But from time to time, I think your wings do come into play. But so you can interact and jump, and you can pick up these orbs. That's one of your interact abilities. But what I thought was really cool was different orbs do different things, and you can stack orbs like Russian nesting dolls. And so it really matters what order you stack your nesting dolls. And I thought that was a very cool mechanic within just being able to pick things up. Apparently, every boss is completely original. You would imagine so with only being able to do two things. But I'm not gonna say it's as good as Limbo or Inside. I don't think the art direction is quite as good. Um, I don't. It doesn't seem to me that the story, in those games, the story was told through visuals. I'm not being as wowed as much, but I mean, looks pretty good. Um, is there a price? Let me see the price on this. $19.99 seems about right, especially for what they've done so far. Yeah, I don't know. I want somebody else to play it and let me know. I am not sold, definitely, but I will. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a breakaway hit. Yeah, it just came out like yesterday, so that's why it only has 324 reviews. Yeah, so that's it for on the radar. Anybody got anything else before we go to highlights?
Nope. I pre-ordered the Quest 3, but I'll talk about that when I get it.
All right. There's something blocking. I'll get rid of that. There we go. Bobby, do you realize that first your radar and your highlights are both Deep Rock Galactic? Do you realize what you did?
I do realize that. Yeah. I mean, every couple of weeks or every couple of months, I got to check in on Deep Rock. And honestly, I don't have much to say about it because I didn't have a lot of time to game this week, which I rambled for like five straight. Yeah. I feel so bad when we like have this full conversation, or like in this case, like it was like a 2-minute rant on my part before the podcast. And then we take that energy into the show, but nobody understands like what we're referring to. But yeah, I kind of touched on why I had such a busy week this week. And I didn't get to game very much. And the Oktoberfest event is happening in Deep Rock Galactic. And it ends on October 2nd. And I had to, I got to get my sausage hat and my lederhosen. Is that how you pronounce that? Lederhosen?
Lederhosen, yeah.
Yeah, but I got to get my cosmetics. So that's all I played this week in the time that I had. And really all it is cosmetics. Cosmetics are pretty good this year. If you don't get them this time around, you can always catch them next year. They usually include them on the quest. So I don't think I'm going to finish the second quest line and get the rest of the cosmetics, but I'll do that next year. I also noticed when I was playing, they nerfed. So they had a big patch a while back where they added new enemies, the Stingtails and the Splashtails. The Splashtails, they're like the Spitter in Left 4 Dead 2. They spit acid on the ground and you can't walk on that. And then the Stingtails are like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. They hook you and drag you in, which are super annoying. Like so annoying. There's not a lot of displacement in Deep Rock Galactic. There was the roly-poly guys that would knock you around. But that was about it. I guess a cave leech was just like the Half-Life character that grabs you and pulls you up. But I don't know. That's not really like a displacement. That just immediately incapacitates you. But anyway, these were really annoying when they put them in the game, and they made the game like a lot harder. Part of that was because people weren't very used to them, and the other part of that was just I think they're a little overpowered. But I believe they nerfed them because it doesn't seem nearly as bad. Those enemies seem to die a little quicker, and they seem to be a little less numerous, so easier to deal with.
Bobby, I feel like the only other direction to go here now is PvP. And when with like in Left 4 Dead 2.
I don't know how they would do PvP, but I think
exactly the same way that Left 4 Dead 2 would.
Where like some people get to play the bugs, and or like a super version of the bugs. Yeah, right. I don't know. You're talking about a big change to the game. That would be a cool idea though, if they could pull it off. I mean, that's what I loved about Left 4 Dead. That's all I played. I barely played the co-op single player, at least for Left 4 Dead.
Do you remember when you were playing the special infected and one would do the scorpion pull and the other one would do the spit right on the floor where the other person...
Yeah.
I mean, that was...
You mean the diddle combo, a.k.a. fuck someone's day up, a.k.a. make someone rage quit instantly?
Yeah.
Or what you do is you do that, and as soon as somehow they get out, you get the charger to charge the person, and then they just throw their goddamn computer out the window.
Yeah.
Well, I always compared Left 4 Dead 2 to football, because you really set up the plays and then you try to make the play if you're a good team. If you're not, if you're playing with a bunch of randos, everyone just kind of goes in whenever they can. But the idea is for everybody to jump in at the same time. I'll take this guy and incapacitate him. You spit the acid to do more damage and kind of zone out the rest of the players. And then the smoker would grab them from this angle. Like you set up these plays and then you try to strike when you can. It was great. I don't know if you could really do the same thing with Deep Rock because you don't really have enemies that just incapacitate. and can move around like that. But I don't know. I think they should do a Hazard 6. Like, honestly, I feel like that's where we're at right now. Like, I need a mode that
That's
just
where
is
you're
like,
at, bro. Like
I think a
most
lot of people, the game's been out for a long time. And there are plenty of people like me that have a lot of hours in it and are just ready for that next level. Hazard 5 is, honestly, if you have a bunch of fully geared people, Hazard 5 isn't that bad. Like,
Bobby, when you show, like, I don't know what your, obviously when, like, you have like a corona around your character's like image, right? Like the people can tell what rank you are, I guess. By
oh yeah,
some
it
perk.
shows your number next to your
It's a
character
number.
icon. Mm-hmm.
So how often do you see people like well above you? All the time?
Above me, it's not uncommon,
Yeah.
especially if I'm only playing Hazard 5. Yeah, I'll see people that are higher ranked than me or like around me. Like, I'm pretty high, man. I'm like level 400 something.
I would imagine, dude. I would
Yeah.
imagine.
I'm pretty far up there, but I've seen plenty of people that are higher ranked than me. But
Cool.
all right, well, yeah, that was my week.
Yeah, same here. I didn't play video games until today. Luckily, I got an early start and I got a good 4 or 5 hours in. So Cyberpunk 2077 had its 2.0 release, and also the new DLC came out. Phantom Liberty, I think it's called.
Yeah, Phantom Liberty.
I purchased it, and I started a new playthrough, and I think this is going to be my game until I finish it. So welcome to a lot of Cyberpunk talk. It's single player, so I could just pause it and walk away, which is really nice. Even in the middle of a fight, you can just pause it and walk away. So that's good for me. I had to walk away so many times today, with the toddler and all. But anyway, 2.0 introduced a lot of things. There's a new perk system, which the perk system seemed very out of place and weird. When I played it the first time, there was things in there for abilities you didn't even have or couldn't get. There was just like the branches on the tree didn't support the trunk, and it was very strange. Now part of your combat, your perk system is car combat. So you guys all know me. I don't vary very much. I am a strong guy with a big stick, literally, like blunt weapons, a lot of health. And one of the side shoots of that talent tree is like taking less damage in your car and inflicting more damage. So car combat is in there now. It's something that it's thought about. There's even like a destruction derby in Phantom Liberty. Cyberware limits were introduced. I think before I don't have a tremendous amount of prior knowledge, but now you have to level up before you can totally kit yourself out. So you can't just grind money and get all these cybernetic upgrades. You need to level up as well. So you can clear. It's very clear. Also, stamina affects shooting, and I think this is needed in a lot of games. I think it's a novel idea, but why have this whole stat that only affects melee, and then melee is maybe 10% of players? Why have this whole other group of items and plus 5 stamina stuff if it only affects melee? It doesn't make any sense. So if you have stamina affect shooting, I think it's a brilliant idea. It makes stamina so much more important, and it makes sense. I feel like a lot of people, in a gunfight wouldn't last long. Adrenaline is pumping. You maybe got 1 minute to be effective unless you're used to it, and then you can go for longer. So I thought that was a brilliant idea by them. Ripper Docs received an upgrade. Those are the people that do your cybernetics. It's so funny because I read all this after I played it, and the Ripper Doc interaction was so cool, and I didn't remember it being that cool. Like, you lay down, the upgrades come, there's a screen that comes in front of you, kind of like being at the dentist. It's like choose your upgrades from this screen that's right in front of you, and then we'll do it. And the guy's so nice too. That first Ripper doc you talked to is so cool. Like I was like, I want you to be my dad. He was such a good guy. And also in just general, when I was playing it, there were so many like weird ripping, tearing, just like pop-ins. It wasn't running, and now it's flawless. It's absolutely flawless. The only thing that's weird at this point is it's the same thing that's wrong with Grand Theft Auto. The interaction between cars and people on the street doesn't look natural, but whatever. Like that's being nitpicky. This game is so fucking impressive. I was reading the reviews, and Phantom Liberty is on a runaway train with the reviews. People are loving it. And the first review I read said that had it not been like, if this game, it would be game of the year, even on this crazy year of crazy games and high reviews, if it wasn't just a DLC. And I'm not gonna say I tend to agree. I haven't played enough. Like, I haven't even gotten into the Phantom Liberty. So I started a new playthrough, and it asked me, do you want to start your
do you want to go directly to the DLC, or do you want to?
Right, but even if you start the old game, it has Phantom Liberty things in it. I haven't seen any of it. I'm only in the first 3-4 hours, but yeah, it's cool that it's integrated into the whole thing. I'm having a fantastic time with it. Graphically, it's fucking really impressive. It's really impressive, especially without any kinks or weirdness going on. I'm very, very impressed. This is the game. If we got this game last year or whenever it was, it would be the bar that games were set at. Yeah. Unfortunately, it just had a bumpy road to get to this 2.0.
Do you think that they should have just never released the game and just waited until this point?
Apparently they couldn't because of like
money.
Yeah, it was investors. Yeah, investors wanted their ROI and just pressure, and it's like, yeah, it's tough, man. Business and art mixing has always been weird, and a lot of times, I'm not going to say every time, but a lot of times the business fucks up the art.
I honestly think that's why a game like Baldur's Gate did so well, and that's why so many people,
because they're like, fuck off.
Yeah, they're like, fuck off. They're like, we're gonna spend our time and we're gonna make our game as much as we want. It's gonna be in early access. You can play the game early. We're gonna have investors, and if you don't want to invest in our game, don't invest in it. We're gonna make the game we want to make, and I think that's why it's being received so well. Not because it's revolutionary, not because it's changing. It's like doing the newest shit or inventing a genre. It's because it's a game. Like, it's not like, oh, we have $10 billion invested in our game and we have to release it before March, else $4 billion is going to be pulled out. When business gets, like you said, when business gets mixed up in art, you get this weird amalgamation of just bullshit that just rushes what needs to be good. Like, imagine if Cyberpunk released in the state that it is right now.
Yeah,
it would be like you said, that would be the precedence that every game needs to be released at.
Baldur's Gate wouldn't have been as shocking.
Exactly. We're like, it's Baldur's Gate. Like, it's cool. It's good.
Yeah.
But now
Cyberpunk.
Baldur's Gate,
people would have been like, it's no Cyberpunk.
It's no Cyberpunk. It's good, but it's no Cyberpunk. But like that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
People are like, it's sad that the bar is set so low, right?
Yeah.
Well, Cyberpunk did get delayed. It was
originally, but not enough.
It
should have been delayed to 2.0.
It came out 2 years ago, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, but how long is
Dude, you can't
the
delay
Elder
a game for
Scrolls?
2 years. You can't tell
How,
people just like, hey, sorry, man, that game that
Well,
was
then
supposed to come
don't
out last
start.
year is not
Then
coming
don't
out for
start
another
your
2.
publication. Don't start your advertising until it's.
Yeah, well, I mean,
close
I
to
don't
being
know.
ready.
Like, I understand what you guys are saying, but I feel like you're being a little hard on them too, because I mean, it's this money, it's these investors that make these games possible too. Sometimes,
The
so
number one thing they should have done is not released it for old gen. That was what
that's
hurt
another
them.
thing.
That's what hurt them the most. I think.
That's definitely
And that
that's
was definitely a business person's notes. That
yeah.
was
Oh, we
definitely
can squeeze out this
investing.
much more out
Hey,
of these people.
hey, if we another 15% if it works on these two systems, and that's that's what really fucked them. But anyway, we're just a gaming podcast. We don't make games.
I mean, this affects us though. This is something that's it's super important to our, like, this is one of the key things that is happening to the market right now. Like,
yeah. It's all things, dude. It's all things that involve art and business. Movies get pushed.
The writer's strike just ended, like literally like 3 days ago, or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Thank God they got what they wanted.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. So how that, Bobby? Do you know? Like, did the writers get what they want? Like, who won? And any good negotiation, both sides should be upset. But like, how'd it go?
well, I don't know. I haven't read it.
So-
yet.
Do you know?
From my understanding, and I only
went with
know
Bobby first, 'cause
I know
usually
10.
he's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. I know 10% of this 100% story.
Okay.
The writers majoritively won. All right. Now they have a minimum writer hiring per show quota, which means no matter what show is being filmed, they have to have a minimum amount of writers being hired. There's now a minimum pay for writers as well. And the other thing is that one of the biggest problems about the writers strike was that these episodes were being filmed for all these kinds of shows. Writers were being being signed up for these episodes. And let's say you wrote for 30 episodes, right? And only 12 episodes were selected. And of those 12 episodes, one of your episodes that you wrote was selected. Even though you may have wrote 20 episodes, you only got paid for one. Even though you did 20 episodes of writings worth, right?
Because it's the only one that got aired.
Because it's the only one that got aired. Even though you did 20 episodes worth of writing.
I mean, book authors only get paid for what gets published.
But it doesn't make the amount of work. The studio has already selected the writer and asked the writer to write the material. That's the problem. They've said, hey, write us these episodes, right?
Yeah.
And you're spending that time. You're spending that effort.
I get it.
And so they weren't getting paid for that, and now they will be. And so that's one of the biggest things. Also, some shit involving I don't know the part involving the AI. That's the part I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm glad that the working people are making more money. I definitely agree that the percentages aren't paid out correctly. Talk to me about CS:GO 2. I'm actually very interested. I am walking away, but I can hear the whole thing.
So yeah, I wasted the first 5 games of me playing Counter-Strike Go 2. For those who don't know, CS:GO 2 released after 11 years after the first one released. It's not an entirely new game, like they just revamped the game and changed every aspect of it. Not at all. Really, it's a...
Well, is this an Overwatch 2 situation where Counter-Strike 2 has replaced CSGO?
Yes. You can no longer play CSGO. You play CSGO 2. The way it works, it's being well received, by the way. It's not an Overwatch 2 situation where everyone's shitting on it, and it doesn't work. Everyone's loving CSGO 2. It's getting raving reviews. The only people that are not liking it are the people that are on older tech that somehow is not running on this game, even though it's not pushing anyone's computer really at all. I have a bunch of bullet points to talk about the game, but for right now, I'll freehand talk about the game a little bit. from my personal experience, there's some things that should be clarified, right? Fortunately and unfortunately, I have a lot of time in CS:GO 1. I have a lot of hours in the game, and so the game's like, oh, you played a shit ton. I'm not going to explain anything to you. You probably already know what you're doing, right? There are two forms of competitive mode now, and so when you click play and you click competitive instead of like deathmatch or whatever, most people will play competitive. But there's two modes now. There's premier and competitive. What competitive means is that you have a rank for each map that you play, which means you have to get 10 wins on one of those maps to get a rank for that map, which is really convoluted, and which means that you have a rank for every map, which is really weird. So the mode that everybody's playing right now, and the mode that everybody that Valve wants you to play, and the mode that everybody is like, it's like really like the esports mode, or the mode that like is most relevant to your average gamer, I guess you can say, is the premier mode. And so what happens now is it's more kind of like a League of Legends kind of situation. There's 2 teams of 5, just like standard CS:GO. What happens is the first team will ban 2 maps out of an 8-map selection. And then the second team will ban 3 maps. And then the first team will ban another 2 maps, leaving with 1 left. And that'll be the map that's being played. Usually it's one of 3 maps, being Mirage, Nuke, or Inferno. Those are the ones I played the most. I've played Overpass a couple times, but that's about it. Now, that's not to say that you won't get people who troll and don't ban the other maps, and you may play some funky maps. The way they have changed the game, and if you haven't played Counter-Strike, from 4 years ago or 5 years ago or since Source, they have changed the game quite a bit, involving like the buy stage. So normally back in the day, when you bought a gun, you'd be like, buy, and then shotguns, and then you can choose one of the 4 shotguns that was there, or like one of the 3 shotguns that were there. Or you can pick buy, and then like light machine gun, and you can choose a light machine gun or some machine guns. That's no longer the case. You click buy, and there's now 3 sections besides your grenades and your armor / diffuse kits. There is pistols, what is now called mid, and rifles. So pistols, obviously pistols. Mid is shotguns and submachine guns.
Mid-range.
Exactly. And then rifles. And rifles can also be different. You can have the auto, you can have the scout, you can have the AUG. There's a total, like there's anywhere between, I think, 7 to 8 rifles for each team, and you can only get 5 of them. And so
Wait. The team is limited on how many rifles?
No. Each player chooses their own buy menu. And so you select which ones you want for your buy menu, and you can't change them in the middle of the map.
So it's like it's like in a MOBA, you're selecting your lane or your position.
Exactly, kind of. And then
a
little bit. And so involving buying, the buy time is still the same. I think you get 20 seconds. Man, if you don't have a fucking mic, please do not play this game. I am not to sound rude, not to sound mean, but if you're playing competitively, or if you're just trying to play like in the competitive like game mode,
slightly sweaty,
like just a little bit, like just play deathmatch or just play casual, because like I played with a guy who didn't have a mic, and he was really high ranked, and he had the quickest fingers I have ever seen in my life, and was able to like ping on the map and ping the quick, like, go here now, like there's a guy over here, like on the automated voice like box in the game. Like, and I was like, oh god, this guy's a god. And then the next game, it's like this guy's like trying to do it, he's like, guy, site A, behind, and I'm like, this is not working, like please just leave. What's really interesting is that you need 10 wins to get your rank. Not games, 10 wins.
I like that, dude, because I feel like that's going to cut down on bots.
And that's exactly what it is. You have another thing. It's called, you have Prime accounts. And so this is how they make their money. I think you pay $15. I've been a Prime account apparently since forever because I originally bought the game. I think it's $15.
Sorry, Nick, you bought CS:GO 2?
No, CS:GO 1, like the original.
So you got grandfathered
before,
in?
Yeah, before
Dude, credit to them to like allow that.
Exactly. If you don't, because we had a friend who didn't, and this was the guy I was talking about last week. He, eventually bought Prime. If you don't have Prime and you get into a non-Prime lobby, 9 times out of 10 there's bots and or cheaters in it. And so Prime accounts are very obviously non-Prime accounts are obviously usually cheaters or bots. What the other weird thing is, but I understand why it's a thing. You can party up with 2, 3, or 5 people, but not 4. Can you guess why, Emilio?
Because a Prime player can't get his bonuses by himself?
No.
Shit.
Wouldn't somebody have to solo queue if you had a group of 4?
Because if players are in a party of 4, they can easily vote kick another player out and therefore collect the -1 player bonus for their market. So every round they get an additional $1,000 to buy, and then if they win the game, they also get an additional to their MMR. So they rank up even faster. So people that are really good will apparently queue up this was a problem apparently back in the day, where people were queuing up as a party of 4, immediately vote kicking out their solo queue, and then just winning the match.
So what's preventing that now?
You can't queue up as 4 anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
It's 3. So you can't vote kick someone unless you have 4 votes.
Yeah. It's funny that they thought the bonus for 4 queuing was more important than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they crunched the numbers, so.
Yeah. And so what's also interesting is that there was some bugs the first day I played. Just a small amount. I had 2 bugs. One was annoying. We could not vote to surrender. We had a player disconnect around 14 out of 24. And we were already losing, and we had 3 rounds left, and we couldn't vote to surrender, so we had to play another 3 rounds and just lose on purpose, which was annoying. And then another one was I bought a gun, the gun fired, and then when I went to reload, it kept switching to my other gun. I don't know why that happened. I checked my key bindings and everything, and never happened again. So that was weird. Other than that, I'm trying to see if anything else in my notes. If I'm missing anything. Oh yeah, there's no more ranks. There's so previously there was Gold Nova 1 or Silver 2 or Nova Elite and things like that. It's no longer that. You have a score. Your score is corresponding with a color to show that you're in a certain bracket, but that score goes up or down depending on losses or wins or ties. And if you do tie, or even if you do lose and you do very well, your score might go up. So hey, who knows?
Interesting. I'm sure it's funny. Everything that Valve does seems to be super important 20 years later. I'm sure that this is going to bleed into other games eventually. They did it for certain reasons, I'm sure. Because I feel like Valve's incentive for doing weird things isn't money based, and a lot of other companies' reason for doing things is money based.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing, right? I'm kind of kicking myself in the balls here. So a long time ago, I'm never gonna play Counter-Strike again, right? I used to play it super sweaty. I'm never gonna play it again. I'm gonna sell one of my items. I sold
even now, Nick.
No, I'm playing it right now. Super sweaty. I'm playing. I'm gonna be playing it. I'm gonna be playing it for a while. This is my PvP game right now, probably for the next 6 months. All right. until like Tarkov releases 1.0, and which is not going to happen for a long time. This is my PvP game for a while.
This game has only one achievement.
I think so.
That's what the Steam page says.
Yeah.
It's a hidden achievement.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Okay. A new beginning. It doesn't say what it is. And they also dropped Global Offensive. It's just Counter-Strike 2.
I guess, huh? I didn't realize
because
that.
didn't they go through this before? They had Counter-Strike, and then they had Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which was just basically the new version of it.
Yeah, like Counter-Strike 1.6, Counter-Strike Source, Counter-Strike Frozen Assault. But this is not in order, by the way. And then Counter-Strike Xbox, Counter-Strike something else, and then Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And now we're at where we're at.
Counter-Strike 2, everything else doesn't matter.
Everything else doesn't matter. I did hear someone get super burned today, where they were like, this guy was sucking so bad, right? And this dude was like, "You coming back from all the way from Counter-Strike Source or something, man? You slow as shit." And I was like, "God damn, this dude's burning." Like, it means he's burning this dude. Like he's saying he's from fucking 13 years ago, 14 years ago, man.
I don't know why I trip down memory lane. Nick, you're too young for this, but after Super Street Fighter 2 came out, that's the one that introduced supers, like the super meter.
Yeah.
A hacked version went all over the place. Now it's called the Rainbow Edition. So basically, somebody made up some crazy edition where everything was 3 times as fast and had all these crazy things in it. And definitely not approved by Capcom. And so one of Capcom's lead dudes played it and was like, "This is garbage, blah, blah, blah. This is not official." But now when I play Street Fighter 2, I feel like I'm playing it in molasses. So then that's when they came out with Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And but they sped up the game like twice as fast. And so, like, yeah, the speed of the game is definitely important, especially, I don't know if it always has to go faster, but in certain cases, it makes a huge difference.
The speed of the game is still the same. It is still Counter-Strike. There's no, like, teleporting or sliding or anything like that. Like, there's still very much, like, corner peeking. Also, by the way, Christian's not here, so I can't upload my 2 clips where I got 2 aces where you killed the whole entire enemy team. So that was fucking awesome. I haven't gotten an ace in like a long ass time. And
Nick, is there anything new, like laying down or leaning? Is there leaning?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope.
I always hated leans in games, though. Like,
here's one thing, Emilio. Here's one thing that's new. You can no longer shift spam. So normally when you used to play Counter-Strike, you can press shift as many times as you want, and you would duck duck up and down as fast as you wanted, right?
But now it's a human amount.
Yeah, you have quads and they get tired. And so, yeah.
Wouldn't that make sticky keys pop up?
I mean, you could turn sticky keys off, but yeah. You can only do, I think it's twice or 3 times in 3 seconds or 2 seconds. And then, like, your character's like, "Nah, I'm not moving anymore."
That's funny.
Yeah. Other than that, the game looks beautiful. The sounds, the sounds are where it's at. Like, you can, I was playing with my friends, right? And they had, like, 2 of them haven't played in a long time. And I was like, there's a guy in this room, in this area, and he's in this part of the room. And they're like, "How the fuck did you know that?" I'm like, "Dude, you just got to listen. Just got to listen."
What about, I know the smoke physics are supposed to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, so that's another interesting thing now. So smokes, back in the day was like you just threw a smoke and then you just couldn't see anymore. You just fucking sucked. And so now there's a way to kind of peek through smokes, but it's at a gamble, right? So in this game, revealing your position's a big thing. For those who don't know, it's a search and destroy game, which means that you plant a bomb, and then the opponent has to defuse the bomb. But if the other, that's how it works, right? But if you throw a smoke, what ends up happening is if you shoot it, for a split second, for like literally half a second, you can see through the smoke. If you throw a frag grenade in the smoke, it dissipates the smoke, but the smoke comes back. And so if you shoot it, you can look through it, but somebody can look back. But also somebody just knows that you just shot through it. So, hey, somebody knows that there's somebody on the other side of the smoke.
It's like Lord of the Rings. When you don't look at that, somebody might be looking on the other side. That like globe or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Bobby.
Palantir.
Bobby, right now, I need an answer from you. Definitive, no wishy-washy. Are you going to install this?
Counter-Strike 2, not anytime soon, no. That would make some great content, though, me trying to play Counter-Strike 2. The last time I played Counter-Strike, I got vote kicked because I couldn't figure out how to disarm the bomb. I was the last person left alive, and I think I had killed the last person, and I just stood over the bomb, and I wasn't really sure how to disarm it or something, and people were not happy with me. They let me know that on voice chat, and then I got kicked out of the game. And that was
know that on voice.
Yeah, dude, I don't understand Counter-Strike. I was playing Day of Defeat back when Counter-Strike was like a big thing, but so I never really got familiar with the game. I never played. I was just looking at it. I have like 7 hours in Counter-Strike. So that's not a lot. I have no idea what I'm doing.
I still to this day get and this happened like literally yesterday. I still get people that are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like when I will literally run around with like one of the weakest guns in the game, and will like headshot somebody 2 times in a row and kill them, because it's that weak. You can shoot somebody in the head twice and they won't die, and and they're just like, "How are you running and hitting people in the head?" Which is, in this game, you essentially have to stand still to shoot accurately, or be crouching and things like that. Like it's not it's not Call of Duty. It's not anything like that. You have to plant your feet, stop moving, and then shoot. And so it's always funny to catch people that are not used to that kind of stuff, or like breaking the status quo. Yeah.
Just for an update on this chair, when I got up to make a drink, it bounced around this room like a fucking pinball. It had 3 walls before it stopped. It's an agile chair. I'm not kidding about that. Should I raise up the chair so you guys can see? These are rollerblade chairs.
We saw the pictures.
Yeah.
Maybe just take the wheels off.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Well, that is it for highlights. Quick shout out. We got 2 subs. Tag Loro, 1 month. Thank you very much, man. We appreciate it.
Hell yeah, dude.
1 month. And Tommy Hill,
coming in strong.
2 months.
Oh, I do DLG update. We are sold out. We so unfortunately Captain Gummy had to drop out. Somebody took his spot, and we had a couch open. Somebody has taken that. A mystery surprise character. Can't say who it is. But yeah, we're all up to date, and everybody's paid up. So I don't have to go to the collectors. Like whatever happens when you don't pay things, I don't have to go there.
The collections office?
Yeah, that. I don't have to go there. So thank you very much for that. And I am looking at a new vehicle, actually.
And another update from old Nick, because that doesn't happen that often. New logo for the stickers coming soon. I know.
So sick.
Little teaser.
I love it.
Teaser Weezer coming. It is a beer logo for those who don't know. You'll be seeing it soon as we are choosing the color palette for it. It'll be probably available in the store in the next month to order. So yeah, be prepared.
Well, you have been
do you
posting.
like what we've done without your
I just
help
posted literally as we were talking on the podcast. I got 12 proofs of the color palettes, and I just posted in the crew channel for everybody to take a look at.
What do you think, Bobby? Are you happy?
Yeah, I think they're looking good. I got a few notes. I got a few preferences, but yeah, if
color wise or overall.
Color wise, I mean, there's some designs I like better than others. They're all pretty similar, and then yeah, some of the colors I didn't think worked
We'll
as well.
talk about later, but I think we should do ranked choice voting, and we put it out to the people.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you are one of those people that have donated enough to us over the years and you have access to the crew channel, then you can actually see what we're talking about. You can get a sneak preview on what these look like or what these could potentially look like.
That might be the best plug I've ever heard.
Who
That
knows?
was pretty good.
Who knows? If you get so involved, we may even make 3 available. You don't know.
You don't know.
Wow.
You don't know. You don't know us. You know who we are.
We've got a lot of listener questions here, so let's get to those. First one coming from Zap. Unlike movies and music, modern games have high prices, more longevity, replayability, and are constantly updated with new features. Given the difference between mediums, do you think streaming games only with no installs is a viable way to make and distribute games, or does the medium dictate the delivery method?
That is quite the complex question. I mean, I hate what the gaming industry is turning into as far as like the medium. Like, I hate that literally Xbox is planning to forcibly change the way that video games are going to be played, that you can't buy discs or you have to stream a game and you won't even be able to download them. I think that's going to be insane. But hey, I don't know. I'm old and I'm 31 years old. And even though the other two are fossils, even I'm saying that's preposterous. So we'll see.
Well, I understand why they're trying to do that. I'm sure there's a bunch of reasons, but one that immediately stands out is it cuts down on piracy, which has always been an issue.
Yeah, and one of the biggest hurdles for being a PC gamer is the...
You need to shift your mic. It's
Hello?
There we go. Whoa. Okay. Now we can hear it.
You can hear your digestive tract.
The entry fee into being a PC gamer is huge. You're looking at a PS4 right now for like $500, Nick, or $400?
It's 4, I think, right now. Yeah, you
$400, but like even at entry levels, even if you're paying crazy eBay prices, you're paying $1,000. That would be a crazy price for like something that nobody could get a hold of. Entry level PC.
You want to know what I saw for an entry level PC right now? Like that you can be like, that's all right.
Sure.
Right? $800 at Costco. That's with no monitor.
Yeah. So $1,000 entry fee.
That's a 4060, 32 gigs of RAM, a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, and then that's pretty much it. Oh yeah.
The entry fee is huge. You could do so much more with the PC, but it doesn't. Whatever. Regardless. So if you could bring down that cost, if you're streaming games, all you need is an input device and a screen. That's it. That's it.
And an internet connection.
And a strong internet connection. Yeah, you're right, Bobby. But those things are entry level. Like you would need that for a PS5 probably anyway, unless you're buying discs. So, that's really bringing down the entry level for PC games. So that's another thing to consider. And
isn't that what the Stadia was, right? Or the Ouya?
Yeah, that was the idea behind it. Yeah.
And they tried it and then it fucking failed. But that's the thing. They're planning for 2028. Like they've got another 5 years to work to cut the kinks. But we'll see.
Yeah. It's not just video games too. I was listening to some people talk at work and they're complaining about how everybody is trying to muscle them into the cloud, and not just like the regular consumer, but like organizations. Like we still run a lot of stuff on premise, and there's very little support for that, and they kind of use that to push people to pay for the very expensive cloud services that they offer. Plus, whenever I deal with like vendors, they always assume that we're using the cloud. Like they're like, oh, well, we can set this up with Azure. I'm like, well, we still, we don't really use Azure.
You're like, first of all, fuck Azure. All right. Second of all, we don't do that.
I mean, we kind of do, but it's hybrid setup. Anyway, there was a really good response from Biblioclasm. I thought I'd read this. He said, we already know that a large portion of entertainment media becomes unavailable to the public when streaming, and online services decide to pull them from services. This severely decreases the longevity of many games in particular, especially games relying on server maintenance. Once games all go streaming, you can say goodbye to playing what you want when you want far into the future. And I don't think a lot of people understand it. When you buy a game online, you're really not buying the game. You're buying a license to use that game. And that it's all in the fine print what you're allowed to do with that. And I think it sounds scarier than it is, because even games that, like when Steam has lost the ability to sell a game, you still have a license for that game and you can still play it. I don't think I've lost access to anything in my Steam library due to an issue like that. But
have you guys seen how much so there's like Instagram videos of people that go to garage sales to buy PS1 and PS2 games now, and how much they make on them because of like these fears exactly. Like people are selling like Spyro 2 for like $50 or $60 because people are like, yeah, you'll never be able to play Spyro 2 again because
other way.
In any other way, because like they're gonna be like, why would anyone want to play Spyro 2 on the PS8? You know, and like, but there's people that want to, or there's people that like legitimately want to experience these older games, and they won't be able to. I you know what's funny? Man, the way the fucking world works sometimes. Me and Leslie, there's a YouTube channel called Ahoy. Have you guys ever heard of it?
No.
He makes these mini documentaries about digital content, and he has a very narrative British voice, and he makes them about like the oddest things, right? Usually he talks about guns and media. He'd be like, the MP5, and he talks about like the history of the gun or whatever. But today, this last one, and I swear to God, it's relevant, right? It's called the 4-bit burger. And it's this piece of art that was created in the 1980s by this artistic mind fellow. And the thing is, it was created on a Commodore and it was used on a program. But the problem was that they had no way to save it. Right? So what did they do? They took a picture of the actual screen with a physical camera. And the thing is, that thing was never able to be actually seen again. Because it was never like you just could never make it again. You know, the technology was being rapidly replaced. The guy who made it was just didn't have the time to make it again. And so nobody was able to actually see what it actually looked like back then. So what did this dude do? He recreated the whole thing using those old systems and transferred it. And you can see that piece of art again 40 years later. And the thing is, that might happen to video games. Video games, like as weird as it sounds, video games are art. And there are things that people like. You know, imagine not being able to play your favorite video game ever again because some money company was like, yeah, we don't think that's relevant anymore, or that message in that video game doesn't apply or doesn't fit the worldview anymore. That might happen. That's just the way it is.
There's probably a few thousand people that want to play Overwatch 1. Probably 1,000, a few thousand people. Like not zero people want to play Overwatch 1. But you can't. Somebody smart is going to come up with a video game library that is just going to hold games until they can legally be shared. But it's not going to be me.
All right. Next question from iTom. First of all, he says you can either say iTom or a Tom. So thank you for clearing that up.
What's up, Tom?
He says, if someone says, this is my favorite game, what game would make you instantly judge them? Oh, boy. God, video games? I don't know. I'd have to think about that, but...
You usually have something right away.
Minecraft, usually. Usually it's like a kid, though, right? But if you have an adult saying that their favorite game is Minecraft...
yeah.
if you got an adult saying that like Minecraft, you're like,
If
okay.
if an adult says Roblox, then you know they're a child predator. So there's that.
Or they're making money on Roblox.
Yeah, some people do making good games. I should pre-read these. Usually, I have an answer right away, man. This is a tough one because it's out there. It's out there. Okay, here we go. When somebody says like, "Oh, you play video games?" I love Mario Brothers. You know that they're talking about. They're not talking about like anything current. They're just talking about their youth or whatever. So I'm gonna go with that. It's a shitty answer, but it's an answer. Well, these other guys think.
Oh, I know. There's one that I know that one of my friends. He used to be this guy, and I played D&D with him. And he's like, "Oh, I love Call of Duty. Call of Duty is the best game ever made." And I'm like, "Yeah, shut the fuck up." And like I forced him to play other games, and he's like, "Never mind. Call of Duty is a huge piece of shit." And he played Tarkov, and he's like, "Yeah, no." He was in the military for like 5 years and got hit by a truck, and he's like, "Yeah, no, Call of Duty sucks." So
Hit by a truck.
he's missing like 80% of his intestines and is
Oof.
permanently
100%
disabled.
disability. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I don't
Follow
know.
that, Bobby.
Honestly, like when people say I've never had anyone tell me they really like this game or that game, like a bad game, and I would judge them like, oh, that's terrible. You have terrible taste. Because I mean,
You do that to me every week. What are you talking about?
no, man. Like I usually when people say they like something that literally everybody else likes, that's just so like vanilla and boring and like AAA gaming, you know, just like something super console. I'm just like, okay, cool, you know.
This is brought to you by Phantom Liberty, the newest DLC for Cyberpunk 2077.
No, I mean, I like Fortnite or
Yeah, I got you.
you know, like something that's just like or Call of Duty games or
One more time. Sorry, I got to cut you off one more time. Ray was talking about his stepdaughter, and he's like, Sam was like, how good is she at Fortnite? She's like, she would beat Emilio, but she wouldn't beat me. And I was like, all right, man. Like, all right, fair enough. Like, I don't play the game, but what an interesting way to describe something. All right. What's your answer, Bobby?
That's fucked up.
well, I just told you, like any sort of like AAA console game. Yeah, I just no interest there. An even more difficult question is when people ask me like, what games do you play? Especially if it's a non-gamer, and I'm just like, you have, like, it would just be gibberish if I told you the games I played. Like, you have no frame of reference or context for this. Like, it's nothing that you could really understand. Next question from Warconius. Anyone back on the Cyberpunk train? Given the game's turnaround with 2.0, is this the game you expected? And most importantly, Panem or Judy? Which one's your girl?
I'll get back to you on the Panam or Judy. It's funny that there's a choice of women like there was in The Witcher. I think that, I honestly think that the whole Yennefer or Marigold, Tris Marigold.
How is it your favorite? I don't know. Actually, you know what? I'm being fucking hypocritical here. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because I think it tells a lot about you if you what choice you make in those two. But again, they make you choose between two. It makes it sound like, yeah. I don't know yet. I will let you know when I do choose because I'm not going to play anything else until I finish this, including DLC. I've said crazy shit before, but yeah.
Yeah, and then next week we hear about Remnant 2 because John logged on.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
God, I did play some Remnant 2 today before I started this. Getting the engineer subclass is rough. That is rough. It is not just difficult, but just uncomfortable. It made me uncomfortable to do that. Ugh. I haven't heard one person yet. One person. There's thousands of you. One person who's picked this game up and told me that it was a good game. So it's just me over here, and Cricket Soldier and JP Diddy that think these are good. Nobody else has picked up this game and been like, hey, thank you. I'm waiting for it. Anyway.
All right. Next question from Time Killer B. Is there any skill in Mario Kart?
Yeah,
So
there is
Bobby-
actually.
Go ahead. Bobby brought this up, actually. He was like, why play these kart games? It's all RNG, blah, blah, blah. But
Well, I
feel
was
it's a-
playing Kart Drift Rider, something like that. Yeah, and that one I think was a little more, because it's technically a mobile game. I think that one is a bit more of a slot machine, but I think it still kind of applies to Mario Kart. I'm not sure, but I don't know if it's just there. I think there's a little bit of skill. The question is, does the skill matter? Because there's so many catch-up mechanics that it really comes down to the very end of the race. You know, it's kind of a crapshoot.
Bobby, what do you think of the movie Rounders? Where's that list, like, as far as like movies?
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there was a giant. It started a huge, giant poker craze after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing was like, well, poker is a game of luck, and then somebody says, why do the same three people win every year, right? So I think there's a lot in RNG, but you can do things to help you win that, like the RNG within that game. So I think the same thing with Mario Kart, like just trying to position yourself to win at the end. Sometimes it's not always going to work, but yeah, you can do things to help yourself out.
Well, and it doesn't really put itself forward as a very competitive game, too. It's not like
it's fun.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, just entertaining and not necessarily like super competitive.
So here's the thing, right? You can turn all the RNG shit off, just like Smash Brothers.
That sounds so boring.
And there's actually like competitive people that play Mario Kart. Like, so you choose your wheels, you choose your kart body, you choose your parachute, and you choose one other thing. The items, so you turn off slingshot items. So like no bullet bill, no lightning, nothing like that. It's only skill based items like bananas. I think bananas and no blue shells. Bananas, green shells, and boosts, I think, are the only things that are available. It's an intense game.
I bet.
You see a lot of fat nerds get real angry.
What else we got, Bobby?
Last question. So this is from Atomic Wolf, and he posted something kind of long here, so I'm just going to summarize it. But basically, he's asking for advice on building his first PC, wondering if he should go the pre-built or custom route, or just go with a PS5 maybe. He did list a PC here in the specs, which are in the show notes. And it looks like a bit of a budget build here. It's a Ryzen 5 5600, 16 gigs of RAM, 6600, a Radeon RX 6600. I mean, you can play video games on that. It's decent. It really depends on your budget.
What a shit way to present that. You can play video games on that. The one game is Binding of Isaac, but that's all you can play.
No, well, see, that's the thing.
That's really.
I mean, you could probably play Cyberpunk on that, just at very low settings, and depends on what resolution you're running too. But yeah, man, the custom versus pre-built is, when the graphics card shortage was happening, it was pre-built was the way to go. But now, I don't know. First of all, PCPartPicker.com is definitely your friend. I would check that site out. You can put parts together. It'll let you know if there's any incompatibilities or let you know what parts you need. And there's plenty of YouTube videos on how to put everything together. It's not super hard putting a PC together, but it's not super expensive either. Like, I don't know if pre-built's really versus a pre-built versus building your own computer. I don't know if either way is going to save you a ton of money.
If you want my dad advice here, all right, If you don't have a credit card and you don't have credit, or if you're a responsible adult and you know what you're doing with money, this is what you do. All right. You go to Best Buy, you go to PCPartPicker.com, you find all your parts that you want. You get printout of every single part and every single page that you see of those parts and those prices. You go to Best Buy, all right. You go in the store, you apply for a Best Buy credit card. Once you get approved, they're going to give you something called Total Tech, all right? Total Tech is going to cover every single piece of your PC, and they're going to assemble your PC for free, and they're going to match every single part price and give you 10% off of your fucking PC, like the complete purchase.
Damn.
And they're going to give you 20% back as points, so you can buy whatever the fuck you want. Now, I did that with my refrigerator, and I bought myself a fucking TV. So, hey, but that's it. But that doesn't really work when you're trying to like spend only like $1,000. But follow Bobby's advice. Go to PCPartPicker.com. If you have no idea what you're doing building a PC and you're afraid you might fry a fucking $1,000 worth of parts, seek help or buy a pre-built.
Well, I don't think you have to worry too much about frying parts, and all these parts come with warranties. Like you're not going to be overclocking anything, so
I'm
it's
talking
just
about with static.
Oh yeah, you could do that.
I need to rescind one review that I had, the Duramont chair. So I played for 4 hours today, and no problems. But podcasting, my tailbone is hurting. I don't know if I sit in a different position, but I've had to adjust several times.
No, what it is you're a long back bitch. You have no
I'm a
ass.
long back bitch. I know.
Well, did your last chair give you problems like that?
No, none. So, but that was the Herman Miller Aereo or whatever. God damn. Yeah, this is weird. I have to return this thing. It's so funny because I was so about it, and I was playing games. And
I know,
so
dude.
good.
We were on that journey with you during the show. You were really talking it up, and now this is quite
really
a turn. Wow.
It's not the. Yeah, I don't know.
Come back next week and find out what happens on the DLG podcast. Will Emilio have a bruised tailbone? Will Bobby get rid of his
gold glasses, Nick?
Hell yeah, dude.
Gold glasses? Damn.
I'm trying to be like Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems. I'm gonna start getting into gym cutting.
It's better than my safety.
I'm gonna find Jewish God. It's gonna be a great time.
All right. On that note, Bobby, what's going on?
I'm going to be playing Deep Rock Galactic Survivor this week, and hopefully it's time for something else.
Nick?
More Counter-Strike 2.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's exactly what I'm hearing. And me, you already know. I mean, when I say I'm going to play this until I'm done, that means, yeah, but I'm going to play other things for the podcast. But I will be playing Cyberpunk majoritively. Like, it fits right into my life. I can pause it. I got to play something I can pause. Things catch on fire around my house. Speaking for Bobby, Nick, and myself, we got Cyberpunk titties. A lot of nudity in that game. Tits, dicks, all kinds of shit.